Hello dear students, I'm Sana Asif, Assistant Professor of English at Bhopal School of Social Sciences. Today I'll explain you the topic prose and its forms. What exactly a prose is? Prose is a form of language that has no formal metrical structure. It applies a natural flow of speech, an ordinary grammatical structure, rather than rhythmic structure or verse. So from where does this prose derived? The term prose originates from the Latin word prosa, meaning in phrase, which was derived from prosa or ratio, meaning straight, direct, or unadorned speech. Normal everyday speech is spoken in prose, and most people think and write in prose form. Prose comprises of full grammatical sentences, which consist of paragraphs and forgoes aesthetic appeal in favor of clear, straightforward languages. It can be said to be the most reflective of conversational speech. Now the characteristics of prose. There are 4 characteristics of prose. The first one is narrative, second is expository, third one is descriptive, and the fourth is persuasive. So now let's discuss about narrative prose. Writing which tells a story can be fiction or non-fiction, usually told in chronological order, has character, flows the basic plot line exposition, rising action, climax, falling action is known as narrative prose. Now comes expository. It gives basic information used often in speeches and essays, does not tell a story or argue. Now the third one is descriptive. Describes something in detail, again without telling a story or arguing on a point. Used most often in combination with another mode of writing, but alone is often found in scientific or medical reports. The fourth one is persuasive. Argues a point or 2 sides of a question, gives evidence in favor or against. So these are the 4 characteristics of prose. Now let's come to the types of prose. Types of prose. There are again the 4 types of prose we have. First is non-fictional, then fictional, third one is heroic, and the fourth is prosaic. What is non-fictional prose? A piece of writing based on fact, example, includes autobiographies, biographies, and non-fiction essays, is known as non-fictional prose. The second one is fictional prose, a literary work that is wholly or partly imagined, or theoretical. Examples are novels, short stories, and drama. Now the third one is heroic prose, writing based on the formalic expressions found in oral tradition. Examples are legends and tales. Now the fourth one is prosaic poetry, a literary work which exhibits poetic quality using emotional effects and heightened imaginary, but are written in prose instead of verse. Now let's discuss about different types of prose writing. So there are 5 types of prose writing. The first one is short story, novel, fable, fairy tale, and the last one is tale. Short story is a prose narrative of limited length. In one sense, the short story is as old as any literary form and must have existed for thousands of years before the art of writing was known. Possibly the oldest recorded example is the Egyptian tale of the 2 brothers, dating from around 3200 BC, and from that time to this, the flow of short narratives has been unbroken. Short stories may contain descriptions, dialogues, or commentary. The most crucial feature of short story is its compact, concentrated narrative with detailed character drawing. Now the examples are The Homecoming by Rabindranath Tagore, To Build a Fire by Jack London, The Clean, Well-Lighted Place by Ernest Hemingway. Now let's discuss about novel. Novel is a prose narrative in a large scale. Like a short story, the novel defies accurate definition, both because it includes so many different types and possibilities. Its essential but unfixable element of length is another characteristic. Extended narratives in prose have been known almost since the dawn of literature. The novel is unquestionably the dominant literary form at present, both in quantity and quality. In quantity, its only rival is the magazine short story. The examples are Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, Harry Potter by J.K. Rowling, and The Philosopher's Stone by J.K. Rowling. The third one is Fable. Fable is a short allegorical picture, symbolic, or a tale conveying a moral or a principle of behavior. Here, allegorical means something symbolic, and as we see the pictures in the book, it depicts something. So it's allegorical. The characters are usually animals talking like human beings but keeping their animal traits. Often, the moral is appended in a form of a proverb. The fable might be called an acted-out proverb. The earliest fable explains some features of an animal, for instance, why the crows are black, and establish certain animal characteristics, the fox as slay, the lion as dignified. Later fables, the product of a more sophisticated culture, use animals to teach a moral lesson or to satirize human beings. The earliest fable comes from Greece and India, the oldest Western examples being the fables of Aesop. The earlier use, the term fable often means merely narrative or plot. Fairy tale. Fairy tale is a short story in which there occurs some supernatural or magical event. The characters, who are neither individualized nor localized, are often not even given names, being called merely a king, a queen, or a princess, or a poor farmer. Fairy tales are about fortunes and misfortunes of a hero or a heroine who, having experienced adventures of more or less supernatural kind, lives happily ever after. Magic, charms, disguise, and spells are some of the major ingredients of such stories. The fairy tale always has a happy ending. At the end of the tale, virtue is rewarded. So the most famous collections are Hans Christian Andersen, the Grimm Brothers, German, Crocker, English. The last one is tale. A tale is a variety of prose narrative that describes strange and wonderful events in the form of somewhat uncovered summary. However, the main character is not focused on or given due importance. In fact, the purpose of the tale is highlighted and given front seat rather than the main protagonist himself. For example, in the tale, Jack and the Beanstalk and the giant are highlighted instead of Jack's personality. So in the next lecture, we'll continue with history of prose, as today we have done prose and its forms. Thank you.